Alrighty, folks, it's time for another one of these World of Geekdom deep dive spoiler videos like I've done in the past for Godzilla vs. Kong, the Snake Eyes movie, the Batman, and of course, most famously, the Matrix Resurrections, which actually got attention far beyond what I was expecting. Today, we're going to be discussing Shazam 2, known as Shazam Fury of the Gods. Now, my sources have seen the film, a cut of it. The movie's not coming out till later this year, and there is pretty much, as of this recording, there's almost nothing out there about it except for a cast list. There's no trailer or nothing. So what I'm going to tell you here in this video, you're going to be hearing for the very first time. You will not be seeing it until you see the trailers come out, so there you go. Movie's not coming out for a while, but I was told that they are happy with the current cut. However, when the movie does come out, it's probably going to have some changes, but probably not anything major, just trimming the fat. The cut that my sources saw is about 2 hours and 35 minutes. So the movie's called Shazam Fury of the Gods. It does happen after Flash and after Black Adam, but I don't have information on those movies yet. But make sure if you are new to subscribe, because I never ever get these wrong, and I haven't in the past, so this is another one that's going to be right up there with the collection. So, this movie, Shazam Fury of the Gods, first thing I want to say is that I was told that this film feels like a family-friendly version of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. There are certain beats and shots from BVS that are kind of redone in this movie in a much more lighthearted way. People are going to complain about this one. You'll know why by the time I'm done with this video, why they're going to complain about it. But until you see the movie, that's when you'll really know. The movie is directed by David Sandberg, who also directed the first movie and also did Lights Out and films like that. So the movie has the same humor, emotion, and action of the first one. So everything that worked in the first movie is in this one still. But it has a character arc for Billy. So the movie, the way it takes place is that Billy's happy with his family and he's turning 18. He's unsure if he's cared for, but if he turns 18, he's wondering if the foster parents are going to get rid of him. He's questioning his future, if that makes sense. So he's getting a bit clingy and unsure of himself. Is it sympathy for him or is it actual love? And that's something he's going to find out as the film progresses. So the first action sequence in the movie, well, the second one technically, is on a collapsing bridge. The public knows them and knows about the Shazam family, and they have their opinions about them. But this mirrors BVS. Some people criticize them, some don't. Is Superman good? Is he bad? That's kind of where they're going with this. Same thing with the Shazams. So they expand on the layer of the superheroes in this big cave. They hang out in there. They talk about their social lives and debate their responsibilities. So the Wizard, aka the original Shazam, and Billy have a conversation about the team and how serious they are about being heroes. But the Wizard tells him that he needs to be the leader. He needs to step up and be a leader and show that he can lead. So during the movie, they hint that Billy has a crush on Wonder Woman, right? And that leads to a big scene later on, so stand by for that. There's a shot here of her from behind, like Gal Gadot's, her back and her legs, but you don't see her face. But when her head turns around, it's the Wizard. So that's like a big joke in the movie, a big sight gag, that he's fantasizing about Gal Gadot or Princess Diana, whatever, and it turns out to be the Wizard. So Mastermind, who was teased in the mid-credit scene, is not in the movie. He is not in the movie. I don't know if he's mentioned, but they did tease him in the previous film. He's not in this one, so just know that. There's a scene with Billy at school. He meets this girl played by Rachel Zegler. Now, her and Freddy have a thing. So Freddy's kind of crushing on her or whatever, and she sees him getting picked on and feels bad for him, but they have chemistry. So neither one can reveal what they know about it, about themselves, because he knows a lot of things that we'll find out about her in a minute. So they have a convo on the roof of the high school. Helen Mirren is in the film, and she plays Hespera, and Lucy Liu plays Calypso. Now, they are sisters of Rachel. We find out that Rachel is a god who's come to Earth because something terrible is happening with her sisters. At one point, Freddy and Rachel get kidnapped by the sisters, and they take them back to their kingdom, which is on another planet, and they lock Freddy up. This is not on Earth, by the way. Somewhere else. There's a scene where they infiltrate a museum. This is actually the first scene of the film, the opening shot, and they find an artifact that helps them power up the staff, the same one that the wizard has. And we find out, too, the wizard, the original Shazam was captured. So the backstory is that centuries ago, Atlas used to rule their kingdom. And what happened was the old Shazam came and Atlas was apparently murdered by the staff. So they have a vendetta against anybody who has the power of Shazam. It's a basic revenge story, but we find out more as the film progresses about who they are. Now, I was told Atlas is not in the movie. He's already dead. So, like, if it's a flashback, it's one thing, but he's not alive during these events. Team Shazam finds out that Freddy's been captured. The sisters argue because somebody has to take over. So you find out that Hespera isn't really the villain. She wanted to be responsible, but Calypso's the one seeking attention and is kind of jealous and wanting revenge. So it's kind of played up like a Cain and Abel type of thing. It's basically, the way it was described to me is that they're lonely. So they're kind of tragic characters. But Calypso wants to attack Earth for revenge and to take the power. Now, what happens is, like I said, the team does go rescue Freddy. They get back to Earth. They go back to the cave, and there's a very Harry Potter-ish scene in a library with flying books. There's a literal pen that comes to life called Steve the Pen, which is a gag in the entire movie. You'll probably see this in the trailer, but Steve is literally a pen that writes messages. So there's a gag where Steve the Pen writes a letter that Shazam wants him to write. Like, Shazam speaks it, he writes it for Hespera. He wants to call a truce before it gets worse. Shazam wants to talk things out, not fight. And it's played up for gags, but basically Steve can't tell the difference between dialogue and the letter. So there's all these, like, mistakes and gags, and Hesperia does read it. It's a funny scene. Like, he'll say something like, Dear Hespera, I just want to tell you that, wait, hold on a second. And then the pen will actually write, wait, hold on a second. Like that kind of thing. Like, it's played up for gags, for comedy. They go to this outdoor hamburger shack. Like a hamburger place. That's talking about Shazam and Hespera. They're both in costume and they have a meeting. Shazam and Hesperia talk about calling a truce. Shazam wants to, call a truce. And she reveals that the issue is actually her sister, who's hell-bent on taking over. Hesperia just wants to keep things calm and kind of keep things in her father's honor, but Calypso's the one who's angry and wants to conquer. So Calypso appears, and she's riding some dragon-like creature. That's what it was described to me as. I have not seen the movie. I'm telling you what my sources told me. And basically, she shows up to attack Shazam and her own sister. So the Shazam family shows up. So there's a funny scene with the younger sister where she wants, the younger sister of Shazam, who wants, a unicorn to be real. Like, throughout the whole movie, she's talking about how she wants unicorns to be real. So when Lucy Lou shows up, there's a bunch of fantasy creatures like trolls and dragons and unicorns. There's a funny scene where she literally pulls out Skittles and, in the movie, and feeds the unicorn Skittles and they turn nice. So that's another gag for the film. Basically, this early cut was 2.5 hours, like I mentioned, but the third act is 40 minutes long. So you're going to expect to see things probably get trimmed before the final version comes out. They got time. It's not coming out till later this year. So Hespera gets killed in the battle because she's trying to protect them. Calypso kills her. Calypso has the staff and uses it to cause chaos. So Billy tells them that he knows what he has to do, but the others want to do it together. But Billy realizes that they do care for him there. The foster parents also appear. It's a very emotional scene. So he goes to meet Calypso in a baseball stadium. And she's about to destroy the world with the staff. Billy says that he's going to try, even though he might not win. He knows he has a very small chance, but he's going to go give it a shot. He's going to try and beat her because he knows his family loves him and do anything to protect them. He'll do anything to protect his family. This is the character arc of Billy here. So he matures in the movie. And then throughout the movie, we find out that as he ages and matures, his powers also mature and he unlocks higher levels of power and new abilities about himself. So they both touch the staff. He pretty much powers up to Omega Power and destroys her and the dragon. The staff's broken in half. Billy goes back to being a boy, but also dies. That's right, Shazam dies in this movie. It's like it took too much out of him, so he dies in this big final scene. So because both the sisters are dead, Rachel Zegler's character comes back to the scene, and they decide to take him to the kingdom. So they take him to their planet, they bury him there outside the throne room in this little garden with a tree. And then the staff is on top. It's a very heartbreaking scene, meant to be taken seriously, because Shazam has died, sacrificed himself to win. Very similar to BVS. So just then, Gal Gadot, that's right, the Gal Gadot, as Wonder Woman, shows up in the movie. Remember, earlier it was a gag. Now she's actually in the film. So the real Gal Gadot shows up. She takes the staff, the two halves of it, mends it together with her godly powers, and uses it to bring Billy back to life. So basically, the scene where he dies is very sad, and it's not played up for gags, but when he comes back, it is played up for gags. Not necessarily too much, but it's a heart-wrenching moment because he comes back to life, but it's also like very fast. Like, it's like, hey, I'll fix this, boom, done. You know what I mean? Death means nothing. So they have this big scene at the end of the movie where they're having dinner with the family. Rachel is now dating Freddie. So Billy's matured, and the arc is that he can do it on his own. If he can't get help from the team, which was like a story point earlier in the film, he's not sure if he can rely on them. He has to be the hero himself. So during this screening, there was no post-credit scene in this screening. Of course, that may change. They may move stuff around. Again, this is an early screening. My source saw it last year, so the special effects were not totally done yet, but we'll see if it changes by the time the movie comes out. It's March, and that film, I think, is slated for November or December. No, I think it's December now. Like, DC changed a bunch of stuff around, so yeah, Shazam Fury of the Gods. There you go. That's the basic plot of the film. If I get any more information, I'll let you know, but let's see how right this information is. We'll find out in a few months. And if I get anything else, I'll talk to you then. But remember, the trailer will reveal whether or not some of this is true. So we'll see. Talk to you later.